Hey, Sorta X here, and today is time for another deck profile. This time we'll be doing a deck profile on the Nubatama Stride. So yeah, Nubatama Stride came out in Fire's Collection in 2015, and yeah, this deck is a pretty fun deck to play. Very fun when your opponent has lots of cards in their hand, so you can basically screw them over by making them, forcing them to discard cards in their hand and to binding their rear guards. The only problem with this deck is that it is very undersupported. They need so much support, and luckily they're going to get support in the future, but as of right now, the cards that they have, it's not enough. So yeah, we're just gonna get straight to the deck profile. Honestly, this deck profile is pretty much similar to the Legion my Legion deck profile. So not that many changes. Just only like a little bit of changes. So we're starting Vanguard. We have Kuroko. Honestly, it's like the best starter for Nubatama out there. So ability is Forerunner. Obviously, moves to rear when you ride on top of him. And then his ability is Soul Blast 1. When the attack hits a Vanguard that this unit boosts, pay the cost, choose 2 cards in your opponent's bind zone and put it into their drop zone. So basically, pressure, so they don't want to lose any cards that you bind as you bind. Yeah. So yeah, Kuroko. Only one Kuroko. Okay, for grade 3s, we run 4 Shura Stealth Dragon Mandoracongo. Mandoracongo is the Legion of the Nubatama clan. Yes. So you run 4 of him because of Legion. So Legion ability is that you Counter Blast 1 and you Persona Blast a copy of him or the mate. When he's in Legion and your opponent has 4 or more cards in their hand, you choose 2 cards from your opponent's hand at random and bind them face down. Then you choose one of your opponent's rear guard and bind them. Then after, they go back to your hand after your turn ends. So basically, you are binding, you're minusing 2 their hand and minusing 1 their field. So this is pretty good. Legion's pretty good. Persona Blasting is the only problem there, but since you're running 4 of him and you should be running for the mains, that shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, and he's 11k body, so always good. Next, for grade 3, you should run 4 Shura Stealth Dragon Kabukicongo. He is honestly the best limit breaker out there for Nubatama. So his limit break 4 ability is you Counter Blast 1 when he attacks the Vanguard. You may pay the cost. If you do, you bind all of your opponent's rear guards on the field into the bind zone. And then if you bind 3 or more, he gets plus 10,000 power until the end of turn. And then, as usual, the cards return to your opponent's hand at the end of their turn. So yeah, pretty good, because you're going to be negging their field when he attacks. And if you're at limit break, and if you manage to get at least 3 units, he'll be swinging for 21 without boost. So yeah, it's pretty good. His other ability is Counter Blast 1. He gets plus 2k. So if you manage to do that, yeah, he'll be 23 if you do both of his ability. So it's a pretty good card. So yeah, 4 of them. Finally, we tech in 1 Shura Stealth Dragon Kujikiricongo. He is the Break Ride. Teching in 1 because I'm running 9 grade 3s. So like with my Mega Colony Stride, I run 9 grade 3s because Nubatama doesn't have a Stride enabler. So you kind of need more grade 3s in order to Stride. So I run 9 in this deck. So yeah, so the Break Ride ability is that when you Break Ride at the top of this unit, you give your Vanguard plus 10,000 power. Your opponent choose 1 card from their hand and discard it, and then your opponent choose another card from their hand and bind it face down. So you're negging your opponent 2 cards in their hand, so it's just pretty good. And then his other ability is when he attacks, if the number of rear guards, if the number of cards in your opponent's hand is 3 or less, he gets plus 2k. So if your opponent has basically have a small hand size, he'll be attacking for 13k. So yeah, but I'm only running one of him because he's a tech card, and also need that extra grade 3 for striding. For grade 2s, we run 4 Sure Stealth Dragon, Daranicongo. Daranicongo. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. Don't quote me on that. Yeah. So he's the mate to Mandoracongo. So obviously you're gonna run 4 of him, and basically his ability is it's basically similar to Kuroko's, where that you can Soul Blast 1 when he hits the Vanguard. You can pay the cost, and you can choose 2 cards in your opponent's bind zone and discard them. Thank you, Car. So yeah, but he has to be in Legion in order to activate that ability, and you also get plus 2,000 power. So he'll be an 11k attacker on Legion. So this is pretty good. Again, you have to be on Legion in order to activate that ability, but if you're in Legion, then this card is very cool and good. And yes, he is very cool. Look at that. Pretty cool. Next, we run 3 Stealth Dragon Kokujyo. He is the card that your opponent will likely try to kill, because his ability is he gets plus 2k for every card that gets sent into the bind zone. So if you have him on the field and you use Kabukicongo's ability, and you manage to bind the whole field, you'll be getting plus 10,000 power. My math is right. Yes, 10,000 power. So he'll be a 19k attacker if you manage to bind 5 cards in the field. So yeah, pretty good. Adds a lot of pressure when you bind so many cards. And lastly, for grade 2s, we run 3 Stealth Beast Tamahagane. He is the when you ride or call him, you can choose one of your opponent's rear guard and bind them. So basically, you're by calling him to the field, you're negging your opponent. You're negging your opponent's field by 1. So which is pretty good. You can force them. You can force them to bind. You can bind their starter. You can bind one of their intercepts. And then if you have Kuroko behind him or someone else, and you attack hits, then you can basically discard the bind card into the drop zone. So yeah, it's pretty good. We're only running 3 because I'm pretty sure that's all you need. So yeah. For grade 1s, we run 4 Dreadmasters, all the way from set 1, baby. Set 1. So retro. Yeah. He's basically staple in the Nubatama deck right now. His ability is when he boosts a unit and it hits, it doesn't have to hit the Vanguard, it can hit the rear guard. If it hits and he boosts, you can counterbalance 1. If your opponent has more cards than you in their hand, you can counterblast 1 and force them to drop a card into the drop zone. So basically, you're negging your opponent 1 card in their hand, which is pretty good. So either you're forcing your opponent to block the attack, or they're going to take the attack and lose a card. So it's lose-lose either way for your opponent. Next we run 4 Tempest Stealth Rogue Fukki. This is kind of iffy at the moment. I might run less, or I might keep it. So it's kind of iffy right now. So his ability is Counterblast 1, put him to the soul. If your opponent has 3 or more cards, it's an errata. It says 3 or less on the card, but it's 3 or more. If your opponent has 3 or more cards in their hand, and you have a Nubatama Vanguard, you can pay the cost. If you do, choose a card from your opponent's hand at random and bind it face down, and until end of turn, obviously. So yeah, not bad. He disrupts your opponent too. He disrupts your opponent's hand because you're negging them 1 for the turn. Other than that, he helps you build soul, so you can use Kuroko's and the mate's ability to soul blast and to bind to force cards from the bind to the drop zone. So yeah, good for building soul, and good for binding cards from your opponent's hand at random. So you might be lucky and get like a perfect guard, bind the perfect guard or something. So yeah. Next, 2 AK vanillas, because AK boost is a good AK boost. So yeah, and he's also a good ride to ride, a great one to ride on too, because he's an AK vanilla. So yeah. Then finally for great ones, I can talk. 4 perfect guards. And yeah, that's about it. Perfect guards are perfect guards. For grade zeros, trigger lineup. Unlike my Legion deck profile, I do not run the Hagakure where you cause a Guardian circle, you counterblast 1. If your opponent has more cards in your hand, you force them to drop a card. I don't run it in this deck because this deck is really counterblast heavy. The Legion's counterblast 1, Kabukicongo's counterblast 1. Dreadmaster's counterblast 1, Fukki's counterblast 1, the Stride we'll get to later, but it's counterblast 2. This deck is really counterblast heavy, and at this point Nubatama doesn't have any unflippers, so Bushiroad, please, unflippers. That G perfect guard, we're gonna need that, and probably a Soul Blast 2 unflip 2, please, Bushi. Yeah, but anyways, I don't run Hagakure anymore because it's a very counterblast heavy deck. So it's just for grade zeros. We're just going to talk about triggers. Triggers are going to run 8 crits. Crits are going to crit because crit. All you need is crits, but you also need draw power. So you're going to run 4 draws, and obviously you need 4 heals because heals are going to heal. And yeah. And finally, for Stride, we run 4 Rikudo Stealth Dragon, Jorurirakan. I'm sorry, I butchered it, I know. So yeah, he is, I guess he's the main stride you'll be striding onto, because he's not Persona Flip, so you can run 4 of him and can use it up. The only problem is the Counterblast. So his ability is Counterblast 2. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rear guard, bind it face up. Your opponent chooses a card from his or her hand and bind it face down. And if you have a heart with Sure Stealth Dragon in its card name, at the end of turn, those cards that were bound from this effect goes into your drop zone. So basically, and the other part of the ability that is if you don't have a heart with Sure Stealth Dragon in its name, the binding card goes back to your opponent's hand instead of to the drop zone. Essentially, essentially, you should be running for grade 3s. You should be running Sure Stealth Dragon. From this deck profile, all my grade 3 cards are Sure Stealth Dragon, so those cards are going to the drop zone either way. So this negs your opponent 1 card from the hand and negs your opponent's field by 1 card. So it's pretty good, and it goes straight to the drop zone, not after your turn is over. So that's a plus for Nubatama instead of going back to your opponent's hand. The only problem is Counterblast 2, and as I mentioned before, this deck is very Counterblast heavy, so it's going to be rough trying to get off his ability every single turn. So yeah, you probably might want to stride once or twice with this guy and then go to town with the Legion. So yeah, but 4 of him because Nubatama stride. And the last stride we run is Rikudo Stealth Dragon. Gidatsurakan. He is the on-hit Nubatama stride. If he hits, your opponent chooses a card from their hand and discard it. So basically, it's pretty good. It's on hit, so that's a con. But the good thing is that on hit, your opponent drops a card from their hand. So it doesn't matter if your opponent has more cards or less cards in their hand than you. As long as it hits, your opponent just drops a card. So yeah. So they're either gonna take the hit and maybe get crit from a triple check and lose the game, or they're gonna guard and also lose a card from their hand for letting the attack hit, or they're going to drop cards just to guard. So either way, your opponents are losing cards from their hand in order to guard the attack. So yeah, and other than that, is about it for this deck profile. As for like a battle, as for like a field formation, you probably want either Kabukicongo or the Legion as your main Vanguard, and then you can stride onto it with one of the two. But other than that, the field option is very limited because once again, Nubatama doesn't have a lot of support. But yeah, other than that, yeah, that's it for this deck profile. So yeah, be sure to like if you like, comment, subscribe if you like the videos I'm putting out. And yeah, that's it for this deck profile, guys. I'll see you guys for the next video. Bye.